Alex, a former Marine seeking solitude in the snowy forests of northern Michigan, thought he only needed to live quietly with his German shepherd Odin. But as days passed, Odin began acting strangely, barking at the darkness, whining at an old radio silent for years. One night, the radio suddenly turned on, emitting a broken voice. "If anyone can hear this, don't let them activate Zone 9. Trusting his companion's instincts, Alex followed the direction Odin kept facing and discovered an abandoned ranger station where thick snow hid a welded-shut iron door leading underground. Beneath, in the icy silence, lay a secret humanity had tried to bury, and perhaps should never awaken. Support us by subscribing to the channel to follow this journey of uncovering the truth. Alex Grayson drove his old pickup through a snow-covered trail toward a ranger station abandoned for over a decade. The former Marine, who had served 2 tours in the Middle East, carried invisible scars, nightmares, echoes of explosions in his head, and the haunting faces of those he couldn't save. He came here not to start over, but to find silence. In the truck bed, Odin lay still, ears perked at the wind whistling through the pines, his golden eyes reflecting the headlights, as if he understood what his human was fleeing. The ranger station emerged through the snow, a dark wooden block, its roof buried in ice. Alex opened the door, snow dust swirling, the smell of damp wood and rusted metal mixing. He lit a fire, set an old military radio on the table, the only remnant of his service days. Odin lay near the stove, quiet, occasionally lifting his head as if sensing something outside. Night fell fast, the wind howling through ancient pines, dry branches tapping the walls like someone knocking. As Alex dozed off, the radio clicked sharply and lit up, its green light flickering, static hissing like breath through a mask. He jolted upright. Amid the garbled noise, a faint trembling voice emerged. "If anyone can hear this, don't let them activate Zone 9, then absolute silence." Odin leapt up, barking loudly, fur bristling, facing north, where the forest thickened like a black wall. Alex turned off the radio, standing still for a moment, trying to convince himself it was just wind-interfered static. But Odin kept growling, refusing to settle. That night, sleep eluded him. The next morning, the sky was silver gray, snow falling like ash. Checking outside, Alex noticed fresh tire tracks near the station, large, military-grade, and a few meters away. A broken signal antenna half buried in snow. He picked it up, finding a label on the metal, Deep Haven Research. The name sent a shiver through him, inexplicably familiar. Wind carried a clattering sound from beneath the wooden floor. Inside, he searched the rooms, finding a small trapdoor behind an old shelf, covered in dust and ice. Beneath peeling paint, cold welded letters read, "Property of Deep Haven, Access Level 9. The steel lock was welded shut, as if meant never to be opened again. In a corner, a rusted filing cabinet reeked of mold, its papers decayed, but one was legible. "Do not open the cryogenic vault below." Holding the paper, Alex scanned the silent room, the fire's glow flickering red on the wooden walls. A cold draft from the floorboards made him shudder. This was no mere abandoned ranger station. If Deep Haven had been here, something had been sealed under snow and silence for years, something he had just unwittingly stirred. Alex stood frozen for a long moment, the paper trembling in the cold, at his feet. Odin sniffed around the trapdoor, occasionally whining, ears lowered. He knelt, tapping the iron lightly. The echo returned thick, heavy, not hollow like normal wood. Something vast and sealed lay beneath. He grabbed a flashlight and scanned the welded seam, then quietly retrieved tools from his backpack, chisel, hammer, and a small crowbar. Each strike rang sharply, blending with the howling wind outside, forming a heavy rhythm like a heartbeat. On the 10th strike, a spark flashed, and a hinge gave way, revealing a small gap. Cold air surged up, carrying the scent of rust and frozen chemicals. Odin flinched, growling, then stepped back. Fur bristling. "Easy," Alex whispered, his own voice unsteady. He widened the trap door. Below was a spiral iron staircase coated in thin ice. At its base, a faint red light pulsed steadily, like a living heartbeat. Alex zipped his jacket, attached the flashlight to his head, and descended, each step creaking as if the metal resented being woken. The cold deepened, seeping through his gloves, numbing his fingers. When his boots hit concrete, his breath echoed back through the narrow stairwell. The bunker was low and wide, its steel ceiling frosted. On the walls, faded white symbols appeared in the flashlight's beam. Deep Haven Adaptive Research. Along the base, dim red emergency lights flickered, some dead. The air held traces of ozone and old disinfectant. In a far corner, a row of cryotanks stood silent, their translucent blue light reflecting off the icy floor. Silver labels read, Biohybrid Phase 9. Alex approached, breath fogging, hand grazing the frigid glass. Through the misty haze, he saw vague, limp shapes, neither human nor animal. One tank was cracked, its edges crystallized into tiny ice veins. Odin neared, nose touching the floor, then froze. The flashlight swept over in the broken tank. A gray, distorted body lay tilted, patched fur and skin, a human skull, elongated chest and legs canine. Muscle fibers strained as if trying to escape their form. Odin whimpered, backing away, spine arched. Alex looked away, swallowing hard. He moved along the room. At its center, a large control console sat under thick dust. A tall server, on backup power, still blinked a faint green light. Etched on its steel, Deep Haven Node 3. He pulled out his military laptop, connecting a cable to the data port. The screen lit up, casting a pale glow on his chilled face. Text appeared on a black background, PRJect Deep Haven. Access restricted. Authorization required. Authorization, he had none. But if the system was active, the data was still there. He switched to raw data mode, offline. The progress bar crawled, 3%, 12%, 47%. Meanwhile, dripping water from frozen pipes echoed, each drop hitting the icy floor like metal on metal. 81%, 95%. Finally, the bar turned green. Transfer complete. He unplugged the drive, tucked it into his inner pocket, heart pounding. Odin whimpered, eyes fixed on the cryo tanks. One emitted a crack, like twisting glass. Alex's breath vanished in the dense air, the temperature plummeted. A relay clicked overhead, and the emergency lights turned deep red. A robotic female voice rasped through ceiling speakers, as if from beneath thick ice. Warning, containment protocol, offline. Then silence. A white vapor jet shot from a floor seam, spreading like fog. Odin whined, staring at the tanks. Red light reflected off the glass, illuminating vague shapes drifting slowly in the liquid, or had they just moved? Alex stepped back, his back hitting the icy steel wall. The air vibrated with a low frequency that synced with his heartbeat. He gripped his backpack strap, an inner voice whispering, "Get out, now." Somewhere below, a mechanical sound stirred, clank, clank, like long dormant gears turning. The ceiling lights flickered on, then off, leaving only the faint red pulse. Alex pulled Odin close, retreating to the stairs. Behind, cold vapor from the opening cryo tanks spread like living fog. He knew he shouldn't look back, but instinct forced him to turn. The bunker's relays clicked relentlessly, their on-off rhythm blending with roaring vents, then stopping abruptly. The console's lights flashed solid red, white text glowing on the main screen like blood in ice. Zone 9, system reboot initiated. Alex's skin prickled. The lab flared with eerie red light. Corridor alarms blinked chaotically, screeching like metal scraping bone. Cold vapor poured from floor seams, curling through steel pipes, coating his boots in white frost. Odin whimpered, tail down, standing between him and the tanks. His hiss sounded like breathing through a metal lung. Alex spun toward the console, yanking the laptop cable, flipping the main breaker. A green spark flared. The system died, but within 2 seconds, another startup sound hummed. Backup generators. The wall panel lit up again. Backup power. He cursed under his breath. The cryotanks began emitting intense cold white vapor, rising like trapped souls escaping. The robotic female voice crackled through the speakers. Backup power. Online. Initiating containment suite. A long screech followed by a deep rumble echoed from the earth. Odin barked, lunging for the stairs, clawing the first step. Alex didn't hesitate, grabbing his backpack strap and sprinting after. The icy iron stairs squealed under his boots. As his hand reached the top floor's edge, the bunker shook, not an explosion, but a tremor, like tons of ice shifting underground. A frigid gust, strong enough to dim his headlamp, blasted up, shattering the silence. Alex slammed the trapdoor shut, threw the old bolt on, and hammered it secure. The cabin air reeked of metal and ozone. Sweat froze on his collar. Odin stood at the door, fur bristling, teeth bared, staring at the floor as if someone walked beneath. Alex stepped back, glancing at the radio. It lit up, though he hadn't touched the switch. Its signal light blinked green, emitting steady, tick, tick sounds. For a moment, a distorted voice broke through the static. Containment breach. Initiated. Evacuation. Failed. Then silence. He turned to the window. Outside the wind shifted, sweeping the forest slope, carrying a heavy hum like metal rotor blades. Far off, 3 black dots moved in formation against the snow. Alex squinted. Short-range military UAVs, silver-bodied, blinking green lights. He recognized them instantly, the same drones he'd escorted in desert missions years ago. A strange feeling rose, half fear, half familiarity, like an old nightmare returning. Cold vapor seeped from the trapdoor again, carrying an ozone and rot stench, like a frozen morgue. Odin growled, backing toward Alex, body tense, eyes glowing gold. The cabin lights flickered, then died. The room sank into darkness, only faint moonlight, reflecting off snow through the window. Alex took a deep breath, sweeping his flashlight across the walls. No movement, just rising vapor thickening the air. He pulled Odin to the door. "Let's go." The dog moved ahead, stopping at the threshold, baring teeth at the outside. Wind screamed through the tin roof, joined by a metallic whir of UAVs circling above. One descended, its red light sweeping the station's yard, reaching the doorstep where they stood. Alex yanked Odin back, sliding against the wall, holding his breath. The infrared beam swept their former spot, paused as if confirming, then moved on. His heart pounded, blood rushing in his ears, drowning the wind. The UAV whined, climbing, becoming a speck in the snowy sky. Alex looked up, spotting 2 more lights at the forest's edge. Not just one. A swarm. They moved in a triangular formation, electric motors humming in precise coordination. No civilian drones. He turned to Odin, whispering, "We're not alone." The dog whimpered, standing guard, eyes fixed on the northern forest where shadows crept through the snow. Beneath their feet, the cabin floor trembled again, light, steady, like a giant beast breathing underground. Cold vapor from the trapdoor thickened, mixed with a faint mechanical click, repeating every few seconds. Alex gripped the iron bar tightly. Part of him wanted to rush back to the bunker and cut the power completely. The other knew he was powerless. The bunker was running itself, independent of him. Deep Haven was designed to survive, even after humans abandoned it. Now, it was doing exactly what its creators intended, enduring. Outside, a second UAV passed the roof, its wake swirling snow like ash. A beam grazed the doorframe, hitting a property of Deep Haven sign he'd propped outside. The light lingered, as if the camera was identifying, then the UAV veered north, as if ordered to verify a target. Alex knew what it meant. Someone, somewhere, knew the system had restarted. They were coming. Odin whimpered, pressing against his leg, eyes on the outside. The ozone smell grew heavier, mixed with frozen earth, and rusted iron. Moonlight faded through violently swaying pines. Alex locked the door, killed the light, and sat against the wall, hand on Odin's neck. A distant mechanical hum grew, low, steady, like a drumbeat. Not wind, not UAVs. The sound of a large engine or aircraft descending. Snow on the roof fell, shaking the cabin. Alex looked at Odin. The dog's eyes glowed in the dark, reflecting the red flicker from the radio still blinking on the table. Zone 9. System reboot initiated. The strange drone engine faded into the wind. Alex crouched behind the wooden doorframe, breath fogging, eyes locked on the snowy yard. Odin stood beside, growling softly, ears tuned to the scattered clank of metal from the forest edge. Darkness receded as headlights flashed through the pines, 3 white-blue beams sweeping the snow, moving in a line. Alex tightened his grip on the iron bar. The wooden door trembled faintly, crisp snow crunching under footsteps approaching the porch. A man's voice rang out, cold and precise, like a broadcast. "Marine Alex Grayson, we're here under Helios Defense Corporation's directive. Please remain calm." Alex stayed silent. The first figures stepped into the vehicle's light, black uniform, carbon-lined parka, a wind mask covering half his face. On his shoulder, a faint logo, Helios Defense, a silver sun radiating over a globe. 2 others stood behind, holding short-barreled weapons on straps, lights glinting off infrared scopes like unblinking eyes. The leader removed his hood, revealing a gaunt face with pale, unnervingly calm eyes. "We're not here to antagonize," he said. "Something of ours is here. You took it." Alex remained quiet. Odin barked sharply, the sound cutting through the confined space like a blade. The man didn't flinch, glancing at the dog before continuing. "We tracked a startup signal from Deep Haven Node 3A. You know where it is, don't you?" Alex stepped back, hand brushing the inner pocket with the hard drive. "I don't know what you're talking about." The second man advanced, voice gruff through his mask. "We have your full record. Alex Grayson, Marines, 5th Battalion, discharged 2021. Escorted Deep Haven research convoys in Helmand, then left the service, treated for PTSD 3 years, last residence, Grand Rapids. You came here 2 months ago." He paused, tilting his head. "You're not hiding, Grayson. You're being watched." Alex swallowed, then let out a dry laugh. "Watching me? Since when do you have that right?" The leader gave a thin smile. "Since you took our data." He pointed at the backpack by the table. Odin bared teeth, barking loudly. Alex stepped in front of him. "What's Helios?" he asked, voice low. "A military branch? A corporation?" The man replied, as if rehearsed. "We're Deep Haven, the legal version. The government scrapped the project, but the tech can't be lost. Helios was created to protect and develop it. Return the data, we leave, and you can go back to your quiet life." Alex chuckled, eyes locked on them. "Quiet life? Where you send UAVs to scan every inch of the forest for me." The leader shrugged. "Precaution. Zone 9 is dangerous property. It can't fall into the wrong hands." "I'm not the wrong hands," Alex said slowly, each word heavy as stone. A thick silence hung between them. Wind through the door cracks swirled ice dust from the ceiling onto the table. The 3 Helios men shifted slightly, repositioning. They didn't raise their weapons, but their stance made the air taut like a snapping wire. Odin barked again, sharp and loud. The soldier on the left leaned toward the backpack. Odin lunged before the hand touched the strap. His roar echoed in the tight space, colliding with the soldier's short yell. The dog's heavy body knocked him back, a shot firing but lodging in the wall. Alex didn't wait. He yanked the safety pin from a gas canister by the fireplace and hurled it toward the door. A small pop sounded, the stove's flame hit leaking gas, and a bright burst erupted. The blast blew snow off the windows, fire spreading like a golden curtain. The 3 Helios men fell back, black smoke rising with hoarse shouts. Alex yanked Odin and bolted through the back door. Cold wind lashed his face, ice shards stinging his eyes. He rolled over the porch steps, sliding down the snow-covered slope behind the station. Behind him, flames roared high, casting an orange glow across the pines, punctuated by rapid pops of burning ammo in the backpack. Odin ran ahead, paws leaving deep tracks in the snow, breath fogging in the air. In the distance, shouts mixed with the wind. "Grayson, don't be stupid. We don't want to kill you." But Alex didn't look back. A gust from the lake carried the smell of smoke and hot metal. He sprinted along a northern trail, heart pounding like a hammer. To his right, the pines rustled, and between their tall trunks, beams of light swept through, UAVs returning, hunting their target. "Go, Odin," he shouted. The dog veered onto a narrow path toward a steep, sheltered area. Snowmobile engines roared behind. Helios had called reinforcements. Alex, still running, pulled an old signal jammer from his pocket, a small EMP device from his service days, and activated it. A dry pop sounded, then a UAV's radar screen flared, losing signal. One crashed into a tree, erupting in blue flame, snow spraying. Seizing the moment, Alex circled the hill, sliding into a frozen creek bed. Man and dog plunged through blinding snow, hearing only ragged breaths and whipping wind. In his head, the Helios leader's words looped, "We're Deep Haven, the legal version." If they were the legal version, what was that thing in the bunker? The thing he'd just activated. And if Deep Haven still existed, then everything he thought he'd buried with the war never ended. Behind, the fire from the ranger station painted the night sky orange, piercing the snow like a warning. Odin turned, barking loudly. Alex glanced at him for a second, urging, "Keep running, old friend." Cold wind whipped his face like a lash as Alex slid along the snowy hillside. Behind, OAV lights cut through the trees, glinting like knives. Electric motor hums rang steady from 4 directions, weaving a hunting net. He veered through a narrow gap between 2 ancient firs, crouching low, Odin close beside, breathing heavy and uneven. Snow reached his knees, each step sinking deep, dragging like wet sand. His legs grew heavy, but he pushed on toward a northern rocky ravine he'd seen marked as an ice cave on a topographic map. Overhead, 3 lights moved in sync, their infrared grids overlapping, red beams spilling across the snow. He pulled a small bag of aluminum powder from his pocket, left over from a survival kit. Running, he scattered it behind, the powder spreading into a faint layer. When infrared hit, it reflected chaotically, creating dozens of false heat signatures, flooding the UAV's thermal cameras with ghost signals. A flare from a drone fell, bursting softly, bathing the forest in white. Alex yanked Odin westward, heart racing. "Keep going," he whispered, voice lost in the wind. The dog limped, its right hind leg leaving a faint blood trail in the snow. Alex knelt, spotting a grazing bullet wound from the station chaos he hadn't noticed. Dark blood steamed in the cold. Seeing a dark rock ridge ahead, Alex pushed Odin into a crevice, crawling in after. Cold air rushed out from within, an ice cave burrowing into the hill, its ceiling glittering with icicles. He flicked on his flashlight, its beams sparkling, revealing Odin's pale face from blood loss. Outside, UAVs swept by, infrared beams grazing the forest edge, joined by a distorted voice through a speaker. "Target confirmed, Grayson Deep Haven Guard clearance. Awaiting extraction command." Alex froze. The words pierced like cold needles into his brain. Deep Haven Guard clearance, the designation on his uniform during the Hellman mission, granting him authority to protect the research team. They didn't just know who he was, they knew he'd been one of them. Odin whimpered, snapping him back. He opened his backpack, grabbing the med kit, unsheathing his dagger to cut out bullet fragments. The dog clenched its jaws, trembling, eyes fixed on its master. Alex gritted his teeth, threading a needle, sterilizing it with a lighter's flame. "Good boy, old friend. Good boy." He stitched short sutures, hands shaking from cold and shared pain. The bleeding slowed. Odin panted, head slumping onto Alex's leg. He wrapped the wound with a torn shirt strip, pulling the dog close to share warmth, back against the icy wall. Wind howled through the cave's mouth, blending with the UAV's drone, repeating, "Target confirmed, awaiting extraction." A steady, mechanical heartbeat. Alex switched off the flashlight, listening in darkness. Outside, heavy footsteps crunched snow, mixed with radio chatter. He understood. Helios had deployed ground teams. They didn't need him alive, just the hard drive. From the cave's mouth, he saw a green beam sweep past, then fade. The wind shifted, carrying fuel and cold smoke. Alex closed his eyes, recalling the desert years ago. The Deep Haven convoy moving through scorched sands, him standing guard by a silver container marked 09, holding sealed bioequipment that vibrated with rising temperatures. Back then, a commander said, "This tech will save the Earth." Now that same 09 code reappeared in this snowy forest. And Deep Haven guard clearance unlocked memories like a blade. Odin stirred, licking his hand, breath faint and warm. "You're okay," Alex whispered. "We just need to survive tonight." He draped the thermal blanket over them, preserving heat. Cold seeped from the icy walls, each gust carrying fresh snow's scent. Farther off, a UAV exploded softly, likely jammed by the aluminum powder or the growing blizzard. Still, he knew they'd return. Helios never quit. After nearly an hour, the sky outside the cave shifted, snow falling thicker, wind howling louder, UAV sounds fading. He pulled the old radio from his backpack, switching it on. Only static, but a familiar signal broke through. Zone 9, maintain containment. Subject awake. He shut it off, heart racing. That wasn't Helios, it was the bunker's system. Zone 9 was still activating, despite him cutting power. They weren't just after the drive, they were trying to lock down what he'd unleashed. Outside, wind swirled the aluminum powder, and UAV lights reappeared, sweeping the rocks again. Alex held his breath, clutching Odin. The red beam slid past their faces, paused half a second, then vanished. Perhaps the sensors were jammed, or their body heat was low enough to fool the system. A voice echoed through the speaker. "Thermal lost. Recalibrating." The engine noise faded into the storm. Alex relaxed, leaning against the wall, closing his eyes. Odin's breathing steadied. He removed a glove, gently stroking the dog's head. "We survived another night," he said softly. Wind howled in long gusts, mingling with the cave's echoes, like a beast breathing in the dark. Alex sat against the wall, gripping the makeshift bandage on Odin's leg, staring at the flashlight's faint glow. In that silence, memories flooded back like unhealed scars. He was back in Helmand, Afghanistan, golden skies, sand and blood, mixing in unnatural heat. Operation Horizon. A benign name for a science project, but the squad called it something else, Operation Living Desert. Alex, then a sergeant, was tasked with guarding the Deep Haven Climate Division. Scientists in white coats speaking incomprehensible jargon, always carrying sealed cold containers marked with a blue spiral. They claimed their mission was cellular adaptation to extreme climates, collecting tissue from wounded soldiers to study human responses to environmental change. Alex didn't ask questions, he was just a soldier keeping lab coat types safe. But as days passed, something felt wrong. The tissue samples weren't just human, they were stored in large cryotubes, numbered labeled Phase 7. Biohybrid trial. At night, he heard screams from the lab tents, not human, a mix of hisses and gasping breaths, like someone struggling for air through a melting chest. The next morning, they called it a technical accident. Then it happened. A squad member, Sergeant Collins, was lightly wounded on patrol. He was taken to Deep Haven's temporary med bay for experimental treatment. 2 days later, they returned his body in a black bag, no official autopsy, just unforeseen genetic reaction. Alex remembered Collins' eyes as he was taken, pleading, voiceless. One night while on guard, Alex saw cold light flashing through a tent's gap. Curiosity drew him closer. Inside, through frosted glass, three figures in hazmat suits hunched over an operating table. On it was something once human. Skin partially peeled, veins threaded with fine metal wires, neck fitted with blinking biomonitors. One scientist, Dr. Everett Hale, he recalled, turned, eyes cold, speaking curtly into a comm. Specimen 23 remains responsive. Cellular structure assimilating. Note evolutionary phase beyond control. Then Alex understood. Climate division was a cover. They weren't studying climate, they were engineering biohybrids, fusing human genes with biomaterials to create beings for extreme environments. From deserts to the Arctic, ecological warriors. But the experiment had spiraled out of control. 3 days later, the operation shut down abruptly. Command ordered a withdrawal. All files sealed, lab tents burned. Alex never got an explanation. But he knew the night before evacuation, he saw loaders moving cryotanks into cold containers marked Deep Haven. Adaptive genome. One leaked, white vapor rising like fog. When he approached Odin, then a unit working dog growled fiercely, forcing him back. An hour later, the area was locked down. The memory snapped as Odin whimpered. Alex opened his eyes, looking at the dog, its paws twitched in a dream, softly barking as if chasing something unseen. Snow on its fur caught the faint light, briefly conjuring Colin's pale, empty-eyed face. Alex stroked Odin's head. "Sleep, old friend, you're not them." His voice was hoarse. But a vague fear rose. Deep Haven never vanished. What he saw in the desert was returning, buried under Michigan's ice. Outside, the wind roared louder, echoing through distant trees. UAV lights blurred past once, then faded, leaving thick darkness. Alex pulled his old dagger from the backpack, the one from that operation, its handle faintly etched with Horizon 12. He turned it, the blade catching cold light. "Climate division," he whispered to the dark. "You never studied climate." He looked at Odin, the last pure creature trusting him in a world tainted by self-proclaimed saviors. The dog breathed evenly, eyes half open, still vigilant. Wind shrieked through the cave, carrying a faint metallic clank like something moving far off. Alex tightened his grip on the dagger, his gaze hardening like in his battlefield days. But he was no longer Deep Haven's obedient soldier. He was a survivor, the last to know the truth they buried in burning sands, and now rising from frozen earth. He placed a hand on Odin's head, whispering, "If they come back, we'll show them what they should really fear." His breath and the dog's mingled in the cold fog, echoing the desert's ghosts, where humans began playing God. The wind outside the ice cave calmed, snow falling softly, like cold ash. Alex sat against the rock wall, thermal blanket around his shoulders, laptop on his knees. Its faint glow lit his gaunt face, highlighting faint scars along his jaw. Odin lay beside, bandaged hind leg outstretched, breathing steadier but eyes alert, ears twitching at distant UAV hums. Exhaustion weighed Alex's eyelids, but he couldn't stop. The hard drive taken from Deep Haven's bunker was his only key to answers. He plugged it into the USB, its light blinking red like a heartbeat. The system booted. Old military software displayed a familiar Department of Defense logo, then a stark interface, numbered folders, files with .wav.wav.vid extensions. He scrolled through codenames Z9_proto, type, adaptive_sequence, behavior_logs. A 2009 audio file caught his eye. He opened it. A hoarse, trembling voice broke the silence. Recorded on outdated equipment. Zone 9 is the only trial maintaining cellular structure in volatile environments. Regeneration rate 127%. But it started learning. A sigh interrupted, followed by typing, papers rustling. The man continued. "Not behavioral learning. Learning us. Adaptation phase exceeded simulation algorithms. We tried wiping the data, but each time, the system backed itself up to auxiliary servers. A long pause, then a whisper, so faint Alex cranked the volume. "I think it knows who it is." A click cut off the file. Alex sat still, hand gripping the mouse, palm sweating. It started learning, the words burrowed like a bullet grazing bone. Deephaven hadn't just created a biohybrid, they'd created memory. He opened the visual _logs folder. The first file, over 3 GB, loaded slowly. A lab, a massive cryo tank glowing blue against the ceiling. Inside, a tall, gaunt, translucent-skinned figure floated in thick liquid. Scientists in hazmat suits adjusted a console. One spoke coldly. Phase 9 reached stability threshold. Artificial neural network syncing. Cellular self-repair at 300%. The camera zoomed in. The figure's face came into view. Under the cold liquid, its eyes opened slowly, like waking from a coma. Colorless pupils gleamed with faint green light, like fireflies. When a technician's pressure device touched the tank, the figure tilted its head, staring directly into the lens. Odin suddenly whimpered, collapsing onto Alex's leg. Its fur bristled, body trembling as if shocked. Alex froze. The dog had never reacted so strongly to a screen. He stroked Odin's back, his own hand shaking. In the video, the lab's lights flickered, destabilizing. A panicked voice shouted, "Cut the neural link now. It's not just reading commands, it's recording them." The screen went black, leaving only an electronic alert. Containment breach imminent. Alex stopped playback. Silence returned, broken only by the cave's wind. He shut the laptop, eyes tracing faint light on the icy wall. The memory of Zone 9, system reboot initiated, merged with the recording's voice. It started learning. He leaned back, closing his eyes. Everything converged, Deephaven, Helios, the desert operation, into a clear line. Zone 9 wasn't a climate weapon, but a self-evolving entity. A biological intelligence, capable of mimicking environments and reacting to handlers. He'd awakened it by accessing the bunker. Odin stirred, whimpering, resting its head on his thigh. Alex stroked its dark fur, feeling faint warmth. "You felt it, didn't you?" he asked softly, voice low. "That thing, it's not dead." He reopened the laptop, navigating to the final log. Time-stamped the day. Deephaven was abandoned. The screen showed chaos, shaking camera, red lights, white vapor spraying. A man ran past, gun in hand, shouting, "Lock the bunker. It's not in the tank anymore." An explosion flashed, and the video cut off. Alex checked the timeline, 2010. Zone 9 had escaped the bunker, 15 years ago. Yet somehow, the system rebooted when he inadvertently powered it. It slept, until someone returned, he muttered, heart stinging. Outside, the wind shifted, carrying a strange his radio interference. Alex tuned the old radio, catching an electronic tapping like Morse code. He opened the laptop's decoder, inputting the signal. The screen displayed a simple message, "Hello again." He stopped breathing, staring as the text blinked, then vanished. Odin growled, eyes on the cave entrance. In the darkness outside, snow swirled, but Alex swore he heard metal shifting, like giant gears grinding under frozen earth. He shut off the radio, pulling Odin close. "It's okay," he whispered. "We're not alone anymore." But as the words left, the recorded voice echoed in his mind. "It knows who it is." Alex looked at Odin, its silent, loyal eyes reflecting the laptop's faint blue glow. In this frozen world, it was the only pure creature still trusting him. But deeper, under cold earth and steel, something else was opening its eyes, not to trust, but to remember. The wind outside roared fiercer as dawn lingered. The blizzard had raged all night, gusts blasting the cave's mouth like a giant beast's breath. Alex huddled by the old radio, fingers numb with cold. Odin lay beside, head on his leg, occasionally whimpering, the thigh wound, not fully healed. He pulled the silver blanket over them, the laptop's light casting shadows on his weary face. On the screen were the files he'd just seen, recordings and images proving Deephaven wasn't a climate project, but an artificial biohybrid program. He didn't know what to do with it, only that keeping it meant dying with the secret. Sharing it could plunge the world into chaos. Odin stirred, licking his hand. Alex sighed. All right, old friend. We can't hold on to it forever. He looked at the cave entrance. Snow streaked with white, wind, rattling a broken antenna on the rock wall. He stood, pulling the backpack, retrieving an old signal cable and long-wave folding antenna used for emergency weather station contact during his service. He plugged the hard drive into the laptop, connecting the other end to the military radio. The screen showed 140.8 MHz, NOAA's backup channel, the National Weather Service. He flipped the switch, tuning the frequency. Static hissed, faltering, then a weak signal stabilized. He pressed transmit. This is Alex Grayson, former Marine. I'm at coordinates in northern Michigan, Old Crow Ridge Ranger Station. Have Deep Haven data, requesting urgent contact. A long silence swallowed his voice. Then the radio clicked faintly, followed by a low, distorted male voice. Grayson, identity confirmed. Your files are being scanned. Stand by. He glanced at Odin. The dog lifted its head, ears perked, listening intently. The screen showed a slow data upload, like a fading heartbeat. Wind shook the antenna. After a long minute, the voice returned. Urgent, trembling. This is NOAA Central. Your files contain restricted defense-level data. Repeat, Deep Haven was never terminated. Leave immediately, Grayson. You don't understand what you're holding. The signal shattered, stretching into a screech, then died. The laptop flashed a warning. Signal interference detected. Alex retuned the frequency, but the system reported a jammed channel. Another frequency cut in. A deep, steady hum. Not NOAA, but encrypted military. He recognized the cold, distorted voice through the speaker. Grayson, this is Helios Command. Cooperate, and you'll live. The message repeated twice, each time clearer, the final tone lingering like a warning. Odin sprang up, snarling. Eyes on the cave entrance. Alex lunged to shut off the radio, heart racing. Outside, the wind stopped abruptly, replaced by a steady mechanical hum, rotor blades. He crept to the cave's mouth, crouching low. Through the white snow, two black dots circled above. As his eyes adjusted, he recognized two Helios Scout UAVs, silver-bodied, red lights blinking, sweeping infrared lasers across the hills. A voice boomed through the UAV's speaker, echoing across the forest. Alex Grayson, you're holding Helios defense property. Cooperate, and you'll leave safely. He gritted his teeth. Safely, he muttered, like they promised in Helmand. His hand tightened on the pistol, checking the clip. Odin growled softly, body low, ready to lunge. No, Odin, Alex whispered, holding its collar. We can't fight them in the open. He glanced at the comm device. The red light still blinked. The signal was completely blocked. Helios hadn't just intercepted, they'd monitored the NOAA frequency, cutting the connection before the data could leave Michigan. They'd been waiting for him to transmit. A red laser swept through the cave's entrance, scanning the icy walls. Alex pulled Odin back, heart pounding. The infrared beam grazed the rock edge, pausing briefly. He heard the UAV's hum shift, its low drone fading. The voice repeated. Closer now, cold as a blade. Grayson, we don't need your life. We need the drive. Hand it over, and you'll be off the list. Alex gave a hollow laugh. The list, he said softly. I've been off that list for years. A flare dropped near the cave's mouth, white light flooding in. He ducked, pulling Odin deeper along the icy corridor. A small explosion sounded above, UAVs deploying thermal probes. He quickly tossed out a thermal pouch with heated batteries, then ran, clutching Odin. For a moment, the scanners mistook the heat source and veered off. He heard a UAV whine past the cave, then climb. The beam strayed, leaving only swirling smoke and ozone. Alex stopped, leaning against the wall, gasping. Helios defense. He repeated in his breath. Deep Haven's legal version. They hadn't just continued the project, They controlled national comm channels. That meant every signal he sent would be intercepted before reaching the outside world. He thought of Noah, the trembling voice on the radio. They were likely being silenced right now. Odin looked at him, amber eyes glinting in the fading light. Alex stroked its head, whispering, "We'll find another way." Outside the wind roared back, whipping snow like a storm. The speaker's voice echoed one last time, distorted by wind. "You can't hide, Grayson. Zone 9 must be contained. Don't make us hunt you." Then the engine noise faded into the snow, only heavy silence remained. Unnatural. Alex sat, staring at the laptop's dark screen, where Noah's last message lingered. "Leave now." He gave a crooked, weary smile. "Leave," he whispered, gripping the drive. "It's too late for that." Odin pressed its head against his leg, eyes deeply sad. Outside in the endless snow, steel eyes still searched, scanning, tracking frequencies. And in the cold white forest, a distress signal remained trapped, trembling like humanity's last breath, before being swallowed by Deep Haven's silence. Helicopters' roar tore through the white sky. The blizzard churned like a living wall, wind flinging ice shards like tiny knives. Alex knew instantly Helios had found him. Odin perked its ears, barked sharply, stepped back, and growled, eyes fixed outside. Alex stuffed the drive into his inner pocket, tightening the rifle strap. From the cave's mouth, a bright light flashed, headlights piercing through, forcing him to squint. A Helios transport chopper landed on a snowy clearing nearby, its skids crushing snow into misty clouds. Beneath it, a silver sun logo gleamed under blinking lights. The door opened, wind scattering thick ice. 3 figures emerged, black armor, reflective visors, rifles ready. Between them stood a tall man in a gray cold-weather coat. Alex recognized him instantly. Colonel Voss. For a moment, all sound seemed to stop. Voss stepped forward deliberately, wind billowing his coat. He stopped 10 meters away, removed his cap, revealing short silver hair and a weathered, authoritative face. His voice cut through the storm, steady, clear, commanding. "Grayson, it's been a while. I knew you'd be the last to find Deep Haven's bunker." Alex didn't respond. He just stared at his former commander, the man he'd once trusted completely in Helmand. Voss gave a faint smile, voice lowering. "Deep Haven isn't what you think. It's not a monster. It's this planet's savior. You were in the desert, you know. Climate, land, resources, everything's dying. Zone 9 is the answer. The last chance to fix humanity's mistakes." Alex smirked. "I've seen your savior. It killed my squad." "It saves no one," Voss nodded, as if expecting that. "You still think like a soldier, Grayson, always through a scope. Zone 9 isn't a weapon. It's an adaptive tool. Its cellular structure regenerates, adjusts climates, turns deserts into forests, ice into water. But it needs someone to restart the cycle. You're the only one left with Deep Haven Level 9 clearance. Help me reactivate it. And you and your dog walk away." Alex stayed silent, wind whipping his jacket. "Safe?" he asked, voice hoarse. "I haven't had a safe night since leaving the service, and now you're here talking about salvation." Voss's eyes grew colder. "You don't get it, Grayson. The world doesn't need people like us anymore. Old wars are dead. You are too. Zone 9, that technology will replace soldiers like you. People who follow orders, kill, then regret." Alex gripped the rifle, hand trembling. "So you kill to build a better world." Voss shrugged. "Sometimes, new worlds need cleansing." Odin barked loudly, the sound echoing through the storm. Voss tilted his head, frowning. "That dog," he said. "It's the last of the K9 Helix program, isn't it? A product of the same tech you're trying to destroy." Alex froze. "What are you talking about?" "Don't you know?" Voss gave a thin smile. "Odin's no purebred, Grayson. Its DNA was engineered in our battlefield bio program. Deephaven enhanced its genes for heightened frequency and electromagnetic detection. It was the first to sense Zone 9 waking. Alex looked at Odin, heart tightening. The dog stared back, deep brown eyes full of loyalty and fear. "You're lying," he growled. Voss shook his head. "I don't need to lie to a dead man," he signaled. The two Helios soldiers raised their rifles. Alex yanked Odin back, aiming his own. "Don't," he shouted, voice cutting through the wind. But Voss only raised a brow. "Fire." Two shots rang as one, bullets tearing through the wind, snow erupting like waves. Alex dove aside, pulling Odin into a snowbank, a bullet grazing his shoulder. Another hit the rock wall, sparking red. He rolled, sliding down the slope, snow stinging his face. Odin howled, running parallel, fur matted with fresh blood. "Keep distance," Alex yelled, rolling to his feet, firing twice. One shot hit a Helios helmet, knocking it off. The other soldier ducked, slipping in the wind. Voss sidestepped, drawing a silver pistol, firing rapidly at Alex's shadow. Bullets embedded in a tree, splintering wood. The blizzard swirled, white blinding, except for muzzle flashes. Each shot roared like thunder. Alex waited between wind gusts, firing back, a bullet slicing through snow, hitting a soldier's shoulder. He collapsed, blood staining the snow red. Voss shouted, "Stop! You can't run forever, Grayson. Deephaven will swallow you both." Alex slid behind a large tree, yelling, "Then let it start with you." He pulled the trigger, firing twice. One grazed Voss's collar, the other hit the helicopter's fuel tank. A small explosion erupted, black smoke rising, flames licking the rotors. The wind surged, fueling the blizzard's fury. Odin barked, lunging to bite a recovering Helios soldier's wrist. A scream echoed, followed by a close shot. Odin recoiled, blood splattering the snow. "Odin!" Alex roared, charging, punching the soldier's face, wrenching the rifle away, and slamming its butt into his temple, dropping him. He pulled Odin close, hand shaking, checking the wound, a shallow graze, bloody but not deep. Odin panted, struggling to stand, fur bristling. The helicopter tilted, rotors snapping, flames spreading to the tail. Voss retreated, fire reflecting in his icy eyes. He shouted, voice nearly lost in the wind. "You can't escape what you created, Grayson. Zone 9 is your legacy." Alex glanced back, seeing a red glow pulsing from the ground below the hill, as if the earth breathed. He knew what it meant. The bunker's system had reacted to the fight, and Zone 9 was fully awake. The storm that night engulfed the mountain. Wind howled relentlessly, whipping thick snow into a frenzy. From afar, the helicopter's fire still lit the sky, fading under swirling clouds, an artificial storm. Alex stood among the trees, coat soaked with blood and ice. Odin pressed against his leg. Both watched silently. The sky turned gray-purple, silent lightning like flashes pulsing, static humming in the air. He recognized it instantly. "Ionization field," he whispered, breath fading in the wind. They were using atmospheric tech to blanket the area, blocking all signals. That's how Helios erased evidence, sealing Deephaven from the world. When the storm cleared, only ice and silence would remain. From behind a pine ridge, he saw the ranger station, once his home, now a blurred white shape in the snow. Helios devices surrounded it, man-high metal pillars, emitting cold blue light, pulsing every few seconds. Each pulse sent snow swirling into the wind. The area was now an electromagnetic dome. Odin growled softly, fur bristling, eyes on a device near the station. Alex touched its neck, signaling silence. In the dim light, he counted 6 Helios operatives moving around, wearing helmets and reflective visors, carrying handheld transceivers. Their voices carried through the storm. "Voss is injured but alive. Activate Phase 2. The storm will cover the area for 3 more hours. What about Grayson? Irrelevant. This zone will be frozen with him." Alex crouched lower, tightening his backpack strap. His mind raced through options. If Helios succeeded, no one but him would know. Zone 9's truth. Deephaven would be buried again. The world fed lies, environmental accident, failed climate research. They'd rewrite history, as they did in Afghanistan. Wind blasted ice dust. He pulled his scarf over his mouth, scanning for an approach. At the forest's edge, less than 100 meters away, a large cable ran from the main ion tower to the station, the primary power line. He knew destroying it would collapse the ionization system, dissipating the artificial storm. "This ends here," he whispered. Odin tilted its head, ears up, as if understanding. He checked his weapon, a wet M4 with one clip left. A smoke grenade in his pocket, plus the small EMP device. It was enough for one shot. He touched Odin's shoulder. "We've got one chance." They moved along the forest's edge, weaving under ice-laden branches. Wind masked their steps. Every few minutes, a blue beam swept through, but Alex had timed their rhythm, counting silently, moving between gaps. Near the ion tower, thick ozone stung his throat. The tower stood 10 meters tall, encased in composite metal, its antenna rings sparking thin lightning into the sky. At its base, 2 Helios soldiers checked a control panel. Alex lay flat, pulling out optical binoculars. One soldier opened a hatch, removing a plasma core battery, tech he'd only seen in military trials. "That's the storm's heart," he whispered. "Destroy it, and the system would fail. But one mistake could detonate the area." He turned to Odin. "When I signal, run to the forest. Don't look back." "Got it?" The dog stared, unmoving, eyes saying, "No way." Alex sighed, then crawled from cover. He pulled the smoke grenade's pin, tossing it between the soldiers. A sharp hiss sounded, white smoke curling around the tower. Before they reacted, Alex rushed forward, hiding behind a battery case, activating the EMP. An invisible pulse erupted with a muffled boom. All lights around the station flickered, then died. Odin lunged, biting a soldier's arm, dragging him into the snow. The other swung his rifle, firing wildly, bullets sparking off the tower. "Go, Odin!" Alex yelled. He fired twice, one shot missing, the other hitting a soldier's shoulder. He collapsed, smoke rising from the panel. The tower's lights blinked, then exploded, blue lightning tearing through snow clouds. The wind's roar doubled, like a wounded beast. Alex and Odin ran back to the forest, snow blinding. Behind, Helios devices wailed alarms. The artificial storm spiraled out of control. Lightning bolts struck randomly, carving ice craters. Helios soldiers shouted, trying to escape the interference zone, but a massive electric surge swept through, engulfing them in blue light. Alex fell face first, covering his head. The final bolt hit the central tower, unleashing a long, wailing explosion like grieving metal. Then the sky split, wind stopping abruptly. For seconds, all was silent. When he opened his eyes, snow fell lightly, like ash. No mechanical hums, no blue lights. The artificial storm was gone, revealing a purple-gray sky at the horizon, exposing the half-buried ranger station. Odin limped forward, whimpering. Alex knelt, hugging it, forehead touching wet, cold fur. "We did it," he whispered. But as he looked up, his gaze froze on something in the snow. The Deep Haven bunker's hatch, blown open, white vapor rising, curling like the breath of something long confined, now awake. Alex stared into the dark gap, wind from below, carrying a metallic raw meat stench. His heart sank. Helios might have lost the storm, but what they hid was rising with its final gust. Odin stayed close, limping, ears up, listening. Each wind shift made it growl softly, sensing something in the air, not snow, not earth, but hot iron and thin blood. Alex stepped over broken porch steps, entering the station. It was nearly destroyed, roof collapsed, furniture shattered. But what chilled him was the metal trapdoor to Deep Haven, now wide open. The steel lid, hundreds of kilos, lay bent aside like paper. Cold vapor poured from the bunker's mouth, thick enough to form mist rising to the ceiling, condensing into faint ice streaks on the beams. Alex knelt at the edge, shining his flashlight. Below, wet iron stairs descended into deep darkness. A steady, faint clank of metal, echoed, like gears turning in a long dormant machine. Cold seeped through his sleeves, chilling his bones. The smell of ozone, machine oil, and a heavier tang overwhelmed him. Odin whimpered, stepping back, claws gripping the floor, fur bristling. "I know," Alex whispered, "but we need to see what it's doing." He reloaded, activated the rifle's light, and descended. His footsteps echoed on each step, blending with the mechanical rhythm into a chilling cadence. Halfway down, he noticed the walls were cracked. Long fissures oozed water, cold gusting from the gaps. Red emergency lights flickered faintly, reflecting off mist, making the bunker seem to breathe. When he reached the floor, the sound stopped. Silence crashed down, suffocating. He swept the light around. The cryo-tanks he'd seen were no longer intact. Many were shattered, green liquid pooling on the floor, frozen into crystalline shards like broken glass. Some empty tanks had cracked walls, mist-bearing handprints or long scratches. In a corner, the server tilted, wires severed, its screen faintly blinking. Alex approached. The screen displayed a simple message, chilling his heart. Zone 9, awake. He swallowed hard, fingers brushing the keyboard's edge. An overhead warning light flashed, beeping softly, then died. The entire system shifted to standby, as if its master had left. Odin barked low, haltingly. Alex turned. The light swept the floor, revealing 3 deep parallel drag marks in the icy dust, like metal claws. They started at the room's center, where a tank lay shattered, and stretched to the iron stairs. He knelt, touching a mark. His fingers came away wet, sticky. In the light, it was green liquid mixed with blood. His heart raced. He aimed the light up the stairs. The marks reached the bunker's mouth, fading into the snowy dust above. No doubt, it had escaped. A faint crack from behind made him spin. A ventilation pipe swayed, clanging against the wall, emitting a metallic whine. But behind it, in the dark, something moved. He swept the light. Nothing, just cold and white mist. No one's there, he told himself. But cold sweat ran down his back. He backed toward the first step. Odin stood at the bunker's mouth, growling, eyes fixed on him, or rather, on something in the darkness behind. Alex swept the light again, slowly. It crossed walls, floor, then stopped on a fresh wet mark in the ice. Long, faint, like a footprint, but facing inward, not escaping, but returning. He stepped back, heart pounding. A cold gust surged from the bunker, strong enough to flicker his flashlight. For a moment, he heard another sound, like breathing, long, steady, deep as wind, but rhythmic. Odin whined, ears down, growling fiercely. "Let's go," Alex shouted, turning to climb. As he reached the bunker's edge, a sharp sound rang below. Clang, like claws scraping metal. He yanked the trap door, but its bent steel wouldn't close fully. He leaned in, pushing with all his strength. A frigid blast hit his face, the metallic stench stinging his eyes. Finally, the lid slammed shut with a heavy thud. He bolted it, collapsing backward, gasping. Odin rushed to him, standing guard, teeth bared, eyes locked on the closed door. In the wind outside, Alex still heard faint echoes from below, clank, clank, as if something tested the lock. He sat up, looking around. The claw marks stretched across the wooden floor to the station's door, vanishing into the snowy porch. He followed, flashlight trembling on the white ground. The green blood trail led to the forest's edge, where wind blew stronger, snow slanting sideways. Odin stepped forward, nose to the snow, then raised his head and barked loudly. His bark echoed through the forest like a warning. Alex followed the direction the dog pointed. Amid the night and white snow, something massive moved, a faint black shadow blurring among the pines. The flashlight's beam caught a metallic glint on its skin before the shadow vanished into the storm. Alex gripped his rifle, his gaze steadying. "It's out," he whispered. Odin barked again, long and resonant, as if in reply. The icy trail led deep into the forest, weaving through bare, ancient firs where the wind broke into sharp, whistling gusts. Alex paused, observing broken branches, scorched bark. He touched a burn. The ice around it had melted and refrozen instantly, as if hit by extreme heat, then rapidly cooled. He knew only something with bioenergy control could do that. Thermal frequency, he whispered. It's seeking warmth. Odin barked twice, short and bolted. Alex followed, heart pounding. They crossed a small slope, where snow was churned as if something had slid through. At the slope's end, in a clearing, a massive drag mark stretched dozens of meters, leaving a deep trench. In its center, snow had melted into a glossy black streak, thin smoke still rising. Kneeling, Alex heard a faint, distant sound like breathing. The air around him suddenly warmed. His wrist thermometer jumped from -12 to -3 in seconds. Odin growled, backing up, body tense. The wind fell silent. In that moment, Alex knew they weren't alone. He looked up, sweeping the flashlight. Its beam cut through the snow, landing on a hazy figure in the forest. It resembled a human, but not quite, taller, gaunt. Its body covered in translucent skin like thin ice, revealing blue glowing muscle fibers moving like liquid. When the light hit, the fibers contracted, glowing brighter. It reacted to light and heat. The entity turned its head. Its face was featureless, just two dark hollows where light couldn't penetrate. From them, vapor escaped in rhythmic puffs. Breathing. The air around it shimmered, as if each inhale warped the environment. Odin growled fiercely, stepping back but not fleeing. Alex held his breath, gripping the rifle. The entity advanced. Each step left melting ice that recrystallized, crackling softly. At 20 meters, it stopped, tilting its head, as if listening. Another sound cut through, a mechanical hum, steady and fast. Alex turned. 3 Helios drones appeared, circling the forest. Red lights swept down, flashing rapidly. "No, don't," Alex muttered, realizing they didn't know what stood below. The first drone locked on, its electric hum rising, firing a red plasma bolt. The shot hit the entity's shoulder, erupting in a blinding blue flash. Odin barked. Alex fell, blinded. As the smoke cleared, the entity stood unscathed. The hit melted, then reformed before his eyes. Glowing muscle fibers slowly knitted, leaving no trace. Then it looked up. Its body glowed, muscles pulsing violently. The air crackled with invisible electricity. A massive heat wave radiated from it, melting surrounding snow, vaporizing it instantly. The drones overloaded, alarms screeching, their displays showing white static. One drone exploded mid-air, not from a shot, but from circuits burned by biothermal overload. The other 2 veered chaotically, but the entity raised a hand, slow, fluid, mimicking a human gesture. The air around its arm twisted, forming a visible heat wave. The second drone was hit, its metal body glowing red, melting like wax. The last tried climbing, but before escaping, it exploded, crashing into the forest, its red light extinguished. Silence. Only faint wind returned. The entity stood motionless in the melted snow, thin smoke rising around it. Alex stared, chest tight. He'd just seen life defy technology, nature striking back with something humans couldn't control, absolute adaptation. "God," he breathed, voice hoarse. "Nature's fighting back." Odin stepped forward, growling softly. The entity turned toward them. Its inner glow dimmed, translucent skin fading, revealing only a glowing spinal vein like luminescent blood vessels. For a moment, Alex felt its empty gaze lock on him. No hostility, no intent to attack. It observed. Then it turned, walking slowly west, toward the frozen valley. Each step shook the ground, snow vaporizing beneath. Odin barked after it, but Alex held its collar. "No, Odin," he said softly. "It's not our enemy anymore, it's theirs." He looked around. Helios drone wreckage, scattered. Batteries charred, steel melted into puddles. Wind carried heavy ozone, blanketing the sky. In it Alex recognized a familiar scent. War, not between humans, but between humanity and what it created. He knelt, stroking Odin's head. The dog still watched where the entity vanished, its eyes reflecting faint blue light left on the ground. "We just saw its beginning," Alex said softly, voice trembling. "No more boundaries between man and nature. Deephaven broke that, and now it's taking everything back." Odin turned, whimpering. Far off, a new engine sound, not drones, but a steady, heavy hum, a military transport plane. Alex looked up, seeing its massive shadow glide through snowy clouds, lights blinking in a grid. Maybe the real military had caught his signal. He tightened his backpack strap, eyes resolute. "We have to beat them," he said, "before Helios buries the truth again." Odin limped forward, front leg caked in old blood. The dog looked up, eyes tired but clear. Alex knelt, stroking its head. "Now we finish this, old friend," he said softly. "We tell the world, before they erase it all." He opened the backpack, pulling out the laptop, hard drive, and military radio. Helios likely still jammed most civilian channels, but the artificial ionosphere had collapsed, possibly leaving a gap to transmit. He activated Deephaven's backup power, bunker reserve batteries. The mini wind turbine on the antenna pole, iced but intact, still stood. He connected the cable, aiming the antenna north, where Noah's emergency frequency once responded. The turbine's hum started, weak but alive. The laptop flashed, signal mode, emergency. Alex opened the drive's remaining folder, selecting audio, video, and experiment logs. The data was his only proof. Deephaven wasn't just a failed project, but a military bio-experiment. Wind surged. He hunched, shielding the screen from snow. Odin stood close, eyes on the forest, ears up. A faint sound rang, metal scraping rock. Alex looked up. A large steel sheet, from the station's roof, slid down, crashing toward him. He barely pushed Odin aside, but the dog's reflexes were faster. It leaped, slamming into him, knocking them both clear. The steel crashed with a thud, pinning Odin's tail. A pained howl chilled Alex's spine. "No!" he yelled, heaving the sheet off. The dog lay tilted, hind leg bleeding, but still lifted its head to him. Blood mixed with snow, melting like ash. "Stay calm, I'm here." Trembling, he checked. No broken bones, just a deep gash. He tore his shirt, binding the wound, hands shaking. "You saved me again," he whispered. "My turn." Odin whimpered, trying to stand, but Alex gently held it down. He gripped the radio, connecting the antenna. The signal flickered, its light half dim. He tuned the frequency, voice trembling from cold and exhaustion. "This is Alex Grayson. If anyone hears, the truth is here," he repeated. "Stronger Deephaven Project. Phase 9, never stopped. It's out of control. I'm sending all data to Noah's emergency frequency. If this reaches anyone, justice still has a chance." He hit transmit. The screen showed a crawling progress bar, slow as a dying clock, 12%. Wind rattled the antenna. Far off, he heard engines. A deep, steady hum, not UAVs, but a large helicopter. Helios was returning, likely to recover bodies and erase the site. He looked at Odin. The dog struggled to lift its head, growling at the sound. "It's okay," Alex said, holding the transmit button. "Just a few more minutes." The signal climbed to 38%, 55%, then 71%. A red flare shot across the sky. Alex looked up. Helios signal flare. They'd pinpointed him. "Hurry," he muttered. At the third minute, the signal stalled. The screen flashed. Signal interference detected. He tapped the radio, realigning the antenna. A dry lightning bolt struck the pole, shaking the system. Odin yelped, panicked. Alex shouted over the wind, "It's fine. Almost done. 92%. 96%. Finally, the bar turned green. The screen read, "Transmission complete." He released the button, collapsing into the snow, gasping. His muscles gave out. Odin lifted its head, licking his hand, as if asking, "Are we done?" Alex smiled wearily. "Yeah, we did it." But as he spoke, the ground trembled. A deep thud came from the bunker, not mechanical, but a pulse. Alex looked up, seeing snow around the bunker's mouth cracking. From the gaps, heat rose, mingling with white vapor, forming swirling columns. Zone 9 was alive. Residual system energy must have reactivated its biocircuits. "Fine," he said softly, voice hardening. "If the world won't believe me, it'll believe this." The helicopter's roar grew closer. He pulled Odin up, helping the dog away from the cracking ground. The sky turned red with Helios flares, bathing the forest in bloodlight. Alex squinted. "They think they can bury it again," he said, touching the radio on his backpack. "Not this time. Now everyone will know." He secured the antenna, ensuring the signal looped. The radio's light blinked steadily. The transmission was repeating to Noah's satellite, encoded and broadcasting everywhere. He placed a hand on Odin's shoulder. "No more running," he said. "Now we see what they do." The blizzard's lull was shattered, as the mountains stirred with engines, speakers, and searchlights cutting the night. Alex pulled Odin close, hiding behind an ice-covered boulder, watching from afar. Through the snow, he saw black uniformed figures surrounding the ranger station, where the Deep Haven bunker still exhaled misty vapor. Above, 3 armed helicopters circled, lights sweeping, hunting Zone 9's trace. A Helios officer stood in the snow, signaling. His voice boomed through a speaker. "Biological target has escaped. Deep Haven bunker unlocked. Prepare recontainment. Priority elimination." Alex narrowed his eyes. He saw a soldier plant a round device in the ground, a thermal probe. On the soldier's wrist display, red dots moved fast from the western forest. Zone 9 was coming. Odin whimpered, ears down. "I know," Alex whispered. "It's back." An electronic alert blared from the Helios speaker. "Containment breach confirmed. Subject approaching Sector 0. The air grew heavy. Wind stopped, as if the forest held its breath. Then, from the deep woods, a faint green glow emerged through the snow. At first, like mist, it thickened, shifting to red-white, reflecting on the snow as a vast hellish aurora. Zone 9 stepped from the darkness. No longer human-like. Taller, elongated, its translucent skin glowing brighter, muscles pulsing like living circuits. Each step left melting ice that refroze instantly. Its body radiated heat and low-energy waves, snow melting and refreezing in seconds. A cycle of life and death in one. Helios soldiers opened fire. Energy rounds hissed, glowing blue, but veered off when hitting the air around Zone 9. An electric field shielded it, deflecting plasma shots into mid-air explosions. An officer shouted, "Rocket team, fire!" Rockets screamed. 3 missiles launched, tracing red arcs through the snow. They didn't hit the entity, but struck the Deep Haven bunker, where cryopreservative tanks remained. Alex realized what was coming as the ground shook violently. A deafening explosion roared, deep as thunder from the earth. The ground erupted. Blinding red light engulfed the forest, whitening everything. The shock wave blasted snow and ice, toppling trees. Alex yelled, "Run!" He pulled Odin, both sliding down the slope. Behind, a red fire column shot skyward, blooming like a blood flower in the snow. Heat spiked, melting ice underfoot into rivulets. Alex fell, pulling Odin into a roll, snow swirling. Hot wind seared his back. Turning mid-slide, he saw Zone 9 in the firestorm, glowing fiercely as if burning in its own energy. It tilted its head, emitting an inhuman scream, low, distorted, like tearing metal. Then its body flared, shattering into countless glowing particles rising into the red smoke. Alex and Odin tumbled to the slope's base, hitting a large ice block. Pain cracked through Alex's ribs. He screamed, breath cut off. Snow covered his face, wind lashing like a whip. The ground around melted, heat and snow forming thick mist, swirling white. From afar, Odin howled through the wind, wild, desperate, yet resolute. Moments later, the dog burst from the mist, fur singed, limping but running. It clamped its jaws on Alex's sleeve, pulling hard. "No, Odin, let go." Alex rasped, struggling, but Odin didn't listen. Growling, it used its remaining strength, dragging him from a collapsing ice crevice. As they escaped, the ground behind exploded, a secondary fire column erupting, staining the ice blood red. The heat wave swept through, but a counterwind kept the flames at bay for a second. They collapsed into fresh snow, gasping. The air was thick with smoke and burnt metal. Alex lay back, eyes wide on the sky. The clouds were torn, revealing an unprecedented sight: red, purple, green ribbons swirling around the blast's epicenter, like an artificial aurora from Zone 9. The light shimmered, reflecting on the ice, bathing the world in unnatural colors. He turned to Odin. The dog lay close, chest heaving, eyes following the same direction. "We made it," Alex said, voice fading in the wind. Odin replied with a soft whimper, resting its head on his arm. The wind weakened. An eerie silence fell. No engines, no radio signals, just snow falling slowly from charred branches. The sky above glowed faintly, a lingering halo drifting like a scar in space. Alex closed his eyes, his breathing steadying. He knew the explosion was over, but also that the electromagnetic wave from Deep Haven had traveled beyond all predictions. "It's reached the satellites," he said softly, a faint smile on his lips. "They'll see it all, everything." Odin whimpered, eyes on the sky. In the reflected light, its pupils glinted like silver mirrors. Both lay still, faces upturned to the strange sky, where the artificial aurora still moved slowly. From afar, small explosions echoed, the last drones falling, one by one, like metal melting in the air. A Helios helicopter, out of control, crashed into the forest, erupting in a burst of red fireflies against the white snow. None of them escaped. Alex heard the radio in his backpack flicker faintly, a distorted voice breaking through. "This is NOAA Central. Signal received. Repeat, signal received." He opened his eyes, turning to Odin. "Hear that?" he exhaled, voice mixed with a tired laugh. "They got it." Above, civilian satellites began detecting an anomalous light in northern Michigan. Observatories, weather stations, even the ISS reported an unidentified energy burst from the surface. Data reached Washington, then spread to other scientific centers. The term Deep Haven appeared in public reports for the first time. Alex didn't know what was happening globally, but he felt it, a silent shift in the air. "They can't bury it anymore, Odin. No one can." A new breeze rose, lighter, warmer. No longer skin-cutting cold, just the scent of ash rising, blending into the air. The sun peeked through torn clouds, pale gold light piercing down, mingling with the red aurora, creating a surreal curtain of light. Northern Michigan's sky had never been so radiant, or so mournful. Alex closed his eyes briefly, exhaling. Everything around him sank into silence. Odin licked his hand once, then rested its head on his chest, both gazing skyward. In that light, two small figures lay amid an ocean of snow, like grains of sand lost in the ashes of a storm past. Far off, satellites slowed their orbits, capturing final images: a red sky, light pulsing like veins, and a signal rising from America's edge. A simple, sourceless code, transmission complete. Project Deep Haven verified. Alex smiled faintly, hand gripping the silent radio. "Now they know," he whispered, eyes on the spreading glow above. Odin breathed softly, eyes closing. Dawn rose slowly over the icy mountains. After a night blazing red with the explosion, northern Michigan now lay in an eerie calm. No engines, no mechanical hums, just gentle wind and tiny delicate snowflakes falling like ash. The sky was pale blue, last night's false aurora gone, leaving only a faint mist reflecting the first sunlight after the disaster. Alex opened his eyes. Pain in his shoulder reminded him he was alive. His breath steamed in the cold, each inhale stinging his chest. Snow coated his face, his coat, but he no longer felt cold, just heavy, as if he'd shed his entire life. Beside him, Odin lay curled, fur matted with soot but breathing steady. The dog opened its eyes as he stirred, whimpering, trying to lift its head. Alex sat up, running a hand along Odin's neck, feeling a faint, steady pulse. "Good job, old friend, you did it," he said softly. His words dissolved into the wind, mingling with the sound of falling snow. In the distance, the Deephaven site was a massive crater, white smoke rising in a column. The surrounding ground was frozen, glinting silver under the sun, where a forest once stood. A cold, flat plain now shimmered like a mirror. The sky above was impossibly clear, blue in a way that felt alien, as if nature had wiped clean humanity's traces with a single sigh. A helicopter's hum echoed faintly, small but distinct. Alex looked up, shielding his eyes, seeing two black dots approaching, not Helios, but civilian rescue. He recognized the red logo of the Federal Response Agency, not the cold black of his pursuers. The helicopter circled, its lights sweeping the snow, pausing when they spotted them. "Odin, look," he said, pointing skyward. The dog raised its head, eyes squinting in the light, then barked weakly. From above, the rescue team's camera panned the wreckage, capturing a man and his dog in the snowy ocean, tiny against the vast wilderness. They didn't move, just gazed upward, like witnesses to a moment that would soon change the world. A voice crackled through the helicopter's speaker, distorted by wind. "This is Federal Rescue. If you hear us, signal. We're landing nearby." Alex raised a hand slowly, waving an orange cloth he kept in his backpack. Odin tried to stand, trembling, but Alex held it back. "No need, old friend," he said. Voice tired but gentle. The helicopter's speaker sounded again. Not the pilot this time. A woman's voice, urgent, mixed with static, urgent message from Washington. "Deephaven data has gone global. International media confirm receiving encoded NOAA data streams. All project information is out." Alex gave a soft laugh. Lips cracked. "They've seen it," he whispered. The small radio on his coat, nearly drained, flickered with final sounds. Another voice came through, warm, distant. "All nations are receiving the same signal. Deephaven is no longer secret. Global systems are decoding. The world is waking up." Odin lifted its head, brown eyes glinting in the dawn. Alex looked at the dog, giving his first real smile in days. "We did it, Odin. Our final mission," he said, voice hoarse but light. He pulled the dog close, hugging it to his chest. Both looked toward the sun rising behind charred trees. Its light pierced the mist, bathing the snow in warm orange gold. For the first time in years, Alex saw no war in that light, just a new beginning. Above, the rescue helicopter descended. Its rotors whipped snow into white spirals. A rescuer with infrared goggles pointed down. "There they are." The camera followed, zooming on the old soldier holding his dog in the snow, sunlight slanting across his gray hair. The image streamed live globally, alongside an urgent Deephaven broadcast. The world saw it. Millions paused mid-morning news. The image filled every screen. A lone veteran and his loyal dog, sitting in a land scarred by science's vengeance. No one knew who they were, but the icon Zone 9, transmission complete, blinked in the screen's corner, like an indelible scar. Alex looked up, watching the spinning rotors, snow swirling around. A rescuer lowered a cable, shouting through the speaker. "Hold on, we're pulling you up." He nodded, securing the cable around himself, then turned to Odin. "Let's go, old friend. Time to leave." The dog looked at him, understanding, and struggled to its feet, limping. Alex lifted it, tying the cable around them both. As the cable tightened, wind lashed his face, carrying ice and burnt smoke. Mid-air, Alex looked down. The land below gleamed silver, white smoke rising from the deep crater where Deephaven once stood. All Helios built, all humanity tried to hide, was now ash in the snow. He glanced at Odin, pressed against his chest, eyes half open. "It's over, old friend," he whispered, voice trembling but calm. "We finished our last mission." The helicopter lifted them higher. Dawn's light reflected off the ice, spreading everywhere, making the mountains seem reborn. In the distance, the sun fully cleared the horizon, its light blending with the last aurora traces, forming a soft, radiant arc across the sky, a new dawn over northern Michigan. As the helicopter left the area, a gentle breeze swept the crater, carrying charred papers from the Deep Haven station. On one fragment, faintly legible through burns, "Adaptive Evolution. For a Better Tomorrow." Alex looked down from the helicopter door, smiling bitterly. "Yeah, for a different tomorrow," he said softly. Then closed his eyes, letting wind and light carry away the last memories of the red night, when truth was finally returned to the world. The story, German Shepherd led veteran to a hidden bunker in the frozen forest. The secret inside terrified them both, is not just a tale of survival in a blizzard, but a profound warning for modern American society, where the line between technological progress and human ethics grows ever thinner. Deep Haven, the project behind Zone 9 and later Zone 10, is a metaphor for ambition spiraling beyond control. When humans play God, creating artificial life to master nature, only to learn nature's lesson about limits. Veteran Alex Grayson, scarred by war, symbolizes post-conflict America, resilient but weary, yearning for ideals yet forced to face the consequences of the systems he once served. Odin's loyalty and humanity contrast with the coldness of Helios and Deep Haven scientists, reminding us that sometimes loyalty, morality, and simple emotion are the foundation keeping us human in a mechanical age. The lesson for today's America is not just about artificial intelligence, biotechnology, or data control, but a reminder: true justice doesn't come from courts, but when people dare to question what they've created. Like Alex, we must take responsibility, confront the dark side of progress. As the world chases artificial power, compassion, humility before nature, and faith that truth never stays buried are what keep us from losing ourselves. If you believe truth, though buried, will always rise, like in Alex and Odin's story, subscribe to our channel to explore more mysteries hidden in the shadows. Thank you for joining us. See you in the next video, where the sky might open again, and a new zone awaits awakening.